WQQ Memphis and W253DF Memphis. It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome in on this outstanding Thursday. The NBA is providing drama. Of the 8 opening round series, 6 of them are going to game 6s. All 3 tonight are big, huge game 6s. The drama, speaking of which, with the curtain coming down, what's going on with LIV. Today, the Saudis and the PIF are going to announce the funding ends after this year. They've already canceled, at least, they say postponed. I doubt it'll ever happen. Moving New Orleans to the fall, I doubt again. I say that won't occur. The question's going to be, how will players navigate all of a sudden their money coming to an end and what alternatives they have? Get into that in a second. We've talked Grizz and the lease with the city for a year now. And now the Tigers lease with the Grizz is up June 30th. What's the win-win there? That's a tough situation. And speaking of the Tigers, they add another hometowner. So let's start with this. The Tigers lease with FedEx up June 30th. How do you make that a win-win? So there was a sliding scale. That didn't really work out. I don't think either party was all that happy with that. Just remember the beginning of the deal between the Grizz and the Tigers was really kind of engineered by the city because, let's not forget, the original money for the pyramid was contributed in a percentage, a good percentage, I want to say almost 20%, came from Memphis, the University of Memphis's pockets. So they were really being a good citizen. They could have tried to build an on-campus arena. They said, okay, the city really wants us to be a part of the pyramid. We'll do that. And they did. And so when the Grizzlies came with the assumption, or not assumption, the promise that there would be a new building built, FedEx Forum, and they would be the major tenant. So the Tigers, remember when they were both playing in FedEx Forum, the Tigers were the number one tenant. That was going to change. We all knew that. But the Tigers got a very favorable lease from the Grizz. I don't know what will happen here. The Tigers, with a $1.2 million shortfall in their revenue from basketball last year, certainly aren't in a position to have to pay more. So I don't really know what the answer is. I'm certain that we will get some people that will discuss this and we'll get a better understanding. Ed Scott, Dr. Scott himself said, we don't have much leverage. They don't have really anywhere to go. So how will all of this be resolved? That'll be something to watch, just the same way that the resolution with the city, and we know that is going to happen now with the way Silver came out last week and the Paris, well, it wasn't a statement from him, but through the commissioner that he's not relocating this team, all just says it's a matter of time before the details all come out. So last night, Dallas beat Orlando, and so they go to a Game 6. Cavs beat Toronto. They go to a Game 6. Both those teams all have held serve, all 4 of those teams. Nobody's lost a home game. Houston wins out of L.A. Now, that is 3-2. That was 3-0. So that will be a Game 6 in Houston, and they're doing this without KD. Tonight, all Game 6s. The Knicks at Atlanta. No one's lost a home game. Boston at Philly. Denver at injury-riddled Minnesota. All Game 6s. This is going to be a fun evening for sure. And while we're on the NBA, and Pete Prenick is going to join us here in a couple of minutes, I got to tip the cap to Cody Toppert, the former Tiger assistant, who's been the head coach of the G League Washington Go-Go's. The Wizards G League team has now been promoted. Cody is headed to the Wizards bench. So congratulations to a good guy with a great family. Really happy for him. So the word coming, and it will be official today, Yasser Al-Rumayyan, who is the head of the Public Investment Fund, the PIF, is going to step down from the board of the LIV today. Now, Scott O'Neill, who is their CEO, has not given up. He says there will be a new rebuild for this league with multiple investors, a whole new business strategy starting next year. That's a long shot. Players are trying to figure out how they're going to get back on the PGA Tour. And this is going to be a real dilemma for the PGA administration. There are different levels of players and defections. Bryson DeChambeau may be the number one most egregious because he sued the PGA. Now, if you've read anything about this, there's a lot of, and the word is scar tissue that was used. There's a lot of scar tissue in all of this from the PGA administration toward those players. Phil Mickelson, another one of those. And yet still, the new CEO, he said, we're going to let DeChambeau in. We're going to give him a one-time ability to come back that he offered to Koepka, Rahm, and Cam Smith. Well, obviously, Koepka's the only one that took that up. So what do you do with DeChambeau? He's got 2 strikes against him. I don't know what you do with Mickelson. He sued everybody, and there's a lot of bad feeling in the PGA office about Phil Mickelson. So I don't know what happens. My best bet, though, is Scott O'Neill is going to have a real long shot to get a whole bunch of investors to put more money in. And if they do, players aren't going to see the kind of money they've been seeing. That's why the Saudis have finally backed out. And the last thing, this is a great story, although it's sort of sad. Last night, the Pittsburgh Penguins were eliminated from the NHL playoffs in overtime with the Philadelphia Flyers. Pittsburgh has the longest lasting trio in North American sports history. Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Chris Letang. They have all played together on the same Pittsburgh team for 20 years. By the way, I think Crosby's coming back. Malkin could come back. He's still got a deal for 2 more years with Pittsburgh. Letang is a free agent who's 39 years old. He wants to come back. I would love to see these guys come back for 1 more year. They gave the Flyers a heck of a fight. And to think that they could be teammates for that long, 20 years, same team, same uni, and obviously a lot of success in that period of time. Do you know what the prior longest tenure in North American sports history was? I'll tell you, it was 17 years, Landon. Do you have any idea who that trio could be? What team?
Maybe something with the Oilers and Gretzky?
No. This is actually baseball. It's the Yankees with Derek Jeter, Mariano Rivera, and Jorge Posada. They played 17 years together for the Yankees. Those were pretty good years, too. But I hope it happens again for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I sit in the Family Leisure Studios. A reminder, chemical sale going on. I mean, you want some pretty good deals, and you got a pool, which may be green right now. Don't worry. Get to see my friends Billy and the owner Lindsay at Family Leisure. And keep in mind, they got a hot tub and swim spa expo going on right now. Now, we're calling this the Battle of the Brands because there are literally 7 manufacturers all fighting for your business. Hot tubs start at $3,500. The swim spas, those big, gigantic things, started under $17,000. And if you mention this ad, you get a brand new free cover lift with any of your spa purchases. So tell them we sent you and head on over to Family Leisure. We head on down the road. Our good friend Pete Pranica, TV voice of the Grizzlies, joining us now. What's been the most surprising series for you in these NBA playoffs with 6 of the 8 going to a Game 6? Good morning, Pete Pranica.
Good morning. Tempted to say the Eastern 8-1 matchup.
Yeah.
With Orlando, but I think the expectations for Orlando coming into this season were so high anyway that it's maybe not as much of a surprise. I think when you look at the seedings and when you look at how poorly they played in their first playing game, you were like, okay, this is going to be a walkover for Detroit. It is surprising, not necessarily how well Orlando has played. It has been somewhat surprising how erratic Detroit has been at times. And if you're a Pistons fan, I think you'd like to see a little bit more from Jalen Duren.
Yeah, he's been MIA in like 2 of their games.
Yeah, and that's something that, part of the reason Detroit is one of the favorites in the East is because of Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart underneath. So if he can get it going, because Wendell Carter Jr. does not want to play in the post, so it should be an advantage to Duren. Detroit hasn't taken as much advantage of it as they have, but I thought last night's Game 5 was one of the more compelling playoff games you'll ever see. Basically, a one-on-one duel between Cade Cunningham and Paolo Banchero. It was absolutely fantastic to watch.
Both those guys had 45 points. The 45 for Cade Cunningham was a Detroit record. I was surprised. I think Dave Bing had 44 and Isaiah Thomas had 43 a couple of times. I'm trying to remember on the Orlando side, somebody had 48.
I know Dwight Howard was up there.
I can't believe
that's the all-time record.
Yeah, it's 48. I know that. That could end up getting beaten. It's nuts. Watch, and Bain has been so good in this series. You almost wonder if you've seen the LA guys that used to wear Memphis uniforms. You see Bain, you're happy for them, but you wonder, is there any, from fans, even from broadcasters, if there's any seller's remorse here?
It is hard to watch them succeed in other people's uniforms. It really is. But then again, people were saying, hey, if Marcus Smart's traded, I'll be the first guy to drive him to the airport. So, there was some criticism of him when he was here. There was criticism of Kennard. He didn't shoot enough when he was here. And Jake LaRavia, his career with the Grizzlies was somewhat marred by injury. When he was healthy, he was okay, but he's really blossomed in LA. So, it is hard to watch some of these guys excel in other uniforms. Desmond Bain is doing what he did in Memphis. It's just on a bigger stage right now, facing the top seed in the East and the Detroit Pistons. But his edge, his competitiveness, his downhill diz, his three-point shot making, his chippiness, we all had it in Memphis, and unfortunately now it's in Orlando.
Well, I got to tell you, of all those guys you just mentioned, Marcus Smart is the one that most surprises me. I really thought his career was on the downswing when he got here, and he didn't do anything to enhance, being a guy who could come back, and he has. What he's done in this series has been pretty impressive.
Without a doubt. And again, another guy who was injured a good portion of his time with Memphis. So, the through line, it seems, for pretty much everybody has been injury.
Yeah, that's the truth. Injuries everywhere. We've talked about this before. Pace of the game. I asked Mike DeCourcy from the Sporting News about this. He thinks it could be the way they train and they peak too early, or something of that nature. That there needs to be a study on training and things of that nature. I don't know what the answer is, but look at all the injuries in the playoffs too.
Yeah, here's the thing: you have shorter training camps. Teams have a smaller window for their training staff to work with players in the off season. And I've never seen a marathoner say, I'm going to train for a marathon by taking the day off and not running today. I'm going to rest. The coaches are culpable in that they have instituted systems that they want to play faster, 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 and they're basically pushing the limits of human physiology. And that's fine if you match it with a training camp or training program that is commensurate with the style you want to play. Everybody wants to play fast, but then everybody wants a 3-day training camp. That doesn't work. Something's got to change. And what's crazy is I was thinking about this morning. You had an 82-game season. guys back in the 70s were probably smoking a cigarette in the locker room at halftime, and they played 82. They flew commercial. They played 3-and-3 nights, and everything was fine. Now we have the ultimate in sports science, and guys are blowing out Achilles every other night. There's some disconnect here. There's something wrong with the system that needs to be fixed, and shortening the season is not the answer.
I think you're right about the fact that the training camp buildup needs to be much longer. You look at the NFL, and I'm not saying it's a similar sport by any means, but they got a 6-week camp, basically, right? And then the first 2 or 3 weeks are all about really getting physically up to snuff. It seems to me that you should use, instead of 3 days, you probably need 3 weeks, including stretching and conditioning.
Devin and I have had a lot of discussions about this, and his feeling, and a lot of the guys that are of his vintage, training camp was a time to break your body down so that it could endure the season. And like I said, you don't train for a marathon by running 2 miles a day or taking a day off. It just doesn't make any sense.
All right, big debate this week, kind of brought on by LeBron, who likes to bring a lot of stuff in his sphere. Who's the GOAT? Who's the better player, LeBron or Michael Jordan? I will say this about LeBron. It's the only area I'll concede to him. He's the better older player. He's remarkable at what he has put up with numbers, even defensive effort. He's the better older player, but that's the only area that I would give him. I am prejudiced, being from Chicago, and that's one of my all-time favorite teams, those Bulls, with he and Pippen and everybody, including Kerr and Dennis Rodman and that whole crew that lasted. And there were some changes with the role players. Paxson was replaced by Kerr, but for the most part, that crew. I'm biased, but I don't think you can put LeBron in the same. Well, you could put him in the same breath, but he's not going to beat out MJ for the best of all time.
I tend to lean toward Jordan as well, simply because he was such a tremendous competitor and he elevated everybody around him. He wasn't the most likable guy in the world. Then again, neither is LeBron James. I agree with you. The extent to which you give LeBron his flowers is because here's a guy who's like 40 years old, and he is just incredible with what he has done. When you talk about the entire body of work, start to finish, LeBron James, that's pretty tough to beat.
Yeah.
And you're right. I mean, MJ, when he was with the Wizards, there were some moments of brilliance, but
that was awful.
Without a doubt,
that was awful.
Yeah. But without a doubt, LeBron James, deeper into his career, more quality play.
All right, so MJ was the face of the league in his day. LeBron's been the face of the league in his day. Who would you say right now is the face of the NBA?
Good question. I think it's up for spirited debate. If the Spurs should end up winning the whole thing, or at least getting to the finals, I think Wembanyama becomes the face of the league. SGA, certainly a runner or front runner to be the face of the league as well. Anthony Edwards is going to be out, so his playoff accomplishments are going to be taken down a little bit. But when you think about Wembanyama, who's very well spoken, truly a one-of-a-one kind of basketball player, I would see him as being probably the face of the NBA. There's now enough backlash against SGA and his ability to get free throws that he may not be universally popular, but I don't know a lot of people that don't like Victor Wembanyama.
It's interesting because you and I are thinking along the same lines. I think Wembanyama, without a doubt, is going to be the future face of this league, and he will be for 10, 15 years, provided he stays healthy. And the other two you mentioned, SGA and Ant, those are the two that I would think are positioned at the moment to be that guy, especially SGA, because he's got a ring.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, he certainly is positioned to be that. Everybody, I've not had interaction with him, but everybody that has had interaction with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander says he's a great team guy, great community guy. And that's going to be really important. Edwards has had his moments of criticism. SGA right now, Wembanyama probably would be my two front runners for face of the league.
I'm not going to hold it against SGA for getting all those calls and free throws. I mean, that's the same thing MJ did. Let's be honest.
Yeah, Dwayne Wade for that matter. The ball's going to be in his hands an awful lot of times, and Harden gamed the system. And look, this is what players do. They figure out where they can create an advantage, and they create that advantage, and they exploit that advantage. They figured it out. Don't hate on them for figuring the game out.
Last thing before we let you go, that is, and I mentioned him earlier, but as a player, Steve Kerr, who's been amongst the elite coaches for the last 10 years in the NBA, and on the international scene with Team USA. What do you think his future is? He has not renewed his deal with the Warriors yet. Not sure that he's going to. The way he said goodbye to Steph Curry and Draymond Green in their last game made you believe he's not going to be at Golden State for much longer.
I would agree with that. It's hard to walk away. But having said that, Golden State's championship window is basically closed. And so, do you want to go through that no man's land of, well, we're really not championship contenders, but we're not lottery bound either? Do you want to go through that? I don't know that he wants to. And I can't say I blame him, because it was an awful long time at the mountaintop, and a large market championship team, all the fuss and all the media that surrounds it. I wouldn't be surprised if Steve Kerr just said, I need to take a step back. Or maybe he'd even take a year sabbatical. I don't know. But I find it hard to believe that he'd be coaching the Warriors next year.
Yeah,
just a gut feeling.
I wouldn't be shocked if he became an announcer again. He was great. Man, he did a Final Four. The guy's a great announcer.
Yeah, exactly. So he could do that if he wants to, or, I think he's earned the right to take a gap year and travel the world and just relax.
Pete Pranica, you can relax at least until next Thursday.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you. That's the voice on TV of your Grizzlies. That is Pete Pranica. I didn't mention this earlier. Last segment of the show, Jarvis Greer, as always, will join us. And the Tigers did sign Josh Holloway. You remember Josh Holloway, right? Because Josh Holloway was at St. George's. He left like a lot of the great players do, and they go to academies. He went to Oak Hill, and he got signed by Samford and was elevated and played at A&M last year. He's probably most famous for taking a slap from John Morant that is still a pending court case. Obviously, he's a Power 4 guy who made a transfer. He's another of the Tiger hometowners who's come back into the fold. So, and we'll talk about this with Jarvo a little bit at the final segment, but this is a very guard and wing laden team. The Tigers and Penny, they need some bigs. Hopefully those announcements will be coming in the next couple of days. We will talk college baseball and a whole lot more with Tim Doolin in a minute. This segment of the show has been brought to you by Ken Garland Custom Home Builders, third generation. The business has been around the Memphis area and really the whole Mid-South for the last 80 years. Go on their website, kengarland.com. You'll see what I'm talking about. It starts with, if you want to build a dream home, you're looking for land, they've got it. Or if you're not sure how to utilize land, 3 generations of wisdom and building palaces all throughout the Mid-South. Maybe you want to stay where you are, but you want the modern amenities. What they do is what I call renovation with innovation. They're going to remodel your home with all the new modern amenities. They know how to do it. They know how to put the media room in with the speakers in the wall, or the California closets, or the island in the kitchen, whatever it may be. They know it, and you don't have to move. And here's the other part that I love about this third generation grouping. The job's never done. If you've got a problem a year, 2 years after they've built your home, they're there. They'll solve it with you. I promise. Go to kengarland.com and then call Ken Jr. He's worth talking to. It's a positive experience. It's the only way to go. Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. Tim Doolin on baseball. That's next.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Napa Cafe celebrates 28 years in 2026.
Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I want to thank you for making us part of your dining experiences. If you are a first-time guest or have dined with us countless times, I want to thank you for making us part of your lives. Whether you're celebrating with the crowd or planning a cozy date night on the town, Napa Cafe can provide you an extraordinary evening. We have 5 dining rooms, including our private wine cellar, our Jan's room for 2 guests, and the Eleanor room for parties up to 60. Sit back, relax, and celebrate. Leave the cooking to us. Come see me at Napa Cafe, 5101 Sanderlin Avenue. We're open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. We also offer curbside pickup from our full menu. For details on our stay-in, dine-out menu or reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. We can't wait to serve you.
Come join in and celebrate 28 years of Napa Cafe in 2026.
Old Dominick Distillery is pure Memphis spirit, all the way from the winning atmosphere at their downtown distillery to award-winning craft spirits. And there's always something happening. Saturday, May 23rd, you're invited to Old Dominick's Crawfish Boil. Rock out to music by the Risky Whiskey Boys. Eat big and wash it all down with a craft cocktail or local beer. Old Dominick Distillery. Come for the spirits, stay for the experience. Cheers to Memphis. Learn more at olddominick.com.
I got him on the line out there in Gossip Volkswagen Germantown. Hey, Marty McNate, what's going on?
I've got some big news. Volkswagen Driver Days is going on at Gossip Volkswagen Germantown.
And I hear you've got some incredible deals happening right now.
You heard right, Randy. I got 2026 Jetta S, $277 a month.
$277 a month for Jetta. Hey, what else you got?
How about 2026 Taos S, $327 a month.
$327 a month for Taos S, and I hear you got a Tiguan deal out of this world.
2026 Tiguan S, $355 a month.
Well, it sounds like you got something for everyone.
Come see me, Marty McNate, at Gossip Volkswagen Germantown, 7420 Winchester Road, or shop online at gossipvwg.com. And remember, your future is what you make it.
36-month lease, Jetta S at 104,280, MSRP 26,426, Taos SMO 6162, MSRP 27,011, Jetta GMW 5137, MSRP 25,820, Taos SPM 108, 191, MSRP 29,101, Tiguan TMO 14510, MSRP 32,585, includes all rebate and SPF 895, excludes high title license with approved credit. See the complete details, offering score 3026, stock only.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the 3rd time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. Mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Tim Doolin on baseball is brought to you by his favorite golf course in the area. I promise you, that's Miramichi, not in Millington and Woodstock. 25 minutes from Mine Driveway in East Memphis. It's the complete golf experience from the practice facilities. They got a beautiful chipping green. They've got a beautiful sand trap area to work. They got a huge, full golf range. They've got a putting green. It's the largest I've ever seen. And then they've got 72 holes of competitive golf course. AJGA and NCAA tournaments have been held on that particular golf course. You can move up a whole bunch of tee boxes like I have in my older age. The one thing that's common, it's beautiful. And by the way, it's in great shape. I played those greens last Sunday. I couldn't believe how quick they were and how perfect they were. The complete golf experience in Woodstock, not Millington. That's Miramichi. Good morning, Tim Doolin. How are you this fine spring day?
I'm good. The sun's shining, and it's thickening up in the baseball world, so it's good.
All right, we've talked a bunch of Major League, and we may get into the firings a little bit later. Let's talk about SEC baseball. Georgia, the best team. A&M and Texas right behind. Mississippi State starting to play pretty well. Auburn's up there. Ole Miss a game over 500. You got Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Florida. They're all 11 and 10. Tennessee with a new skipper. is a game under 500. Vandy is right at 500. LSU's been a disaster. Of course, Missouri and South Carolina are the bottom feeders for sure, the ones that get beaten upon. How would you break down this year, and how many teams will host regionals? I guess I should ask you, how many teams you think will make the NCAA baseball tournament?
I think right now there's probably 12 teams, and even though we don't have a lot left, we've got a lot left in the sense that, a couple more weekends of conference play, which, all the things that the records that you just spit out could drastically change if some teams get hot. I think the biggest surprise is looking at, Vandy, Tennessee. I don't know that I didn't expect them to have a little bit of growing pains with Josh Elander taking over for Tony Vitello. But really, what really sticks out, Wolo, is the defending national champions are 6-12 in the SEC, being LSU. That's crazy, and they're on the verge of possibly not even getting a regional bid unless they finish strong, which they could.
Well, they're 6-12 and barely over 500. They don't deserve to be an NCAA team.
No, that's right, and I think you're going to see something like that happen. Vandy, I think, is an interesting piece because I've known Tim Corbin for a long time. He's a Hall of Fame coach. I think they've struggled because other schools that are recruiting against them, Wolo, in the portal, their leverage is you want to transfer to Vandy where you're going to have to go to class, right? It's a different culture that Corbs has built there.
Well, wait, are you saying that at Ole Miss and Mississippi State and Tennessee they're not going to class?
No. I'm just saying the academic portion of Vanderbilt is much more difficult than these other schools. And the grind that guys have to go through in the classroom. I'm just saying what other schools recruit against. And the fact that Corbs has done what he's done in producing major league players, pitchers predominantly, even though that has been a good recruiting tool for them, there's other options within the SEC that are less of a burden for the player, where they can go play at a school that is thriving, much like Georgia, Texas A&M, Texas, Mississippi State, and they get paid. So I think it's just there. I think Vandy's at a crossroads. I'm speculating here, but I told you this off the air. I would not be shocked if South Carolina makes a run at Tim Corbin. And I would not be shocked if he took that job.
Wow, that's interesting. Just out of curiosity, what do you think making a run means? What kind of money?
Well, as far as I think they've got money, South Carolina, and they'll match what he's making now, if not bump him a little bit. But I think he's realizing that, as a lot of coaches do, both at the professional level and at college, there's a time when it's just time to move on. And, Corbs has built what he's done at Vanderbilt. And I remember when he first went there, he came here and spoke at a dinner banquet that I had. And he told me, he said, Timmy, I'm going to make Vandy the Stanford of the East. And he did it relatively quickly. And look how long he's been able to do it for. So I just think South Carolina, back in the day with Ray Tanner, that they were right up there every year, winning and going to the College World Series. I just think they're going to make a run at someone like a Tim Corbin.
Back to LSU for a moment. We know how good they were. Skip Brickman was the guy that started that whole thing, right?
Yep.
If you look at it, they've now invested all that money in Lane Kiffin. I believe their NIL. I want to say that Ron Higgins, our SEC historian who lives in Baton Rouge, said that their NIL budget is like 42 or 44 million. I can't remember. It's crazy. It's higher than Texas was last year. Now, they have put together an incredible basketball staff, so maybe they're getting money that they're going to earmark for that. But it makes me start to think, how many sports, if you're really serious, how many sports can you excel at? Is there a school that could really be great at football, basketball, and baseball all at the same time?
Well, I think the difficult piece is, as you've spoken, the money's not the issue. They've got money, and boosters want their team to win. And basically, you're seeing at LSU, what they've invested in Kiffin and their women's basketball and their baseball program. I think the challenge you have is, regardless of how good your scouting department is, and regardless of how good the GM is recruiting the portal, there's still so many unknowns. You can go out and get the best mid-major first baseman who put up monster numbers, but he didn't do it in the SEC. And is that guy going to be a good clubhouse guy that's going to fit into your culture, whatever that culture is? So you go from winning the World Series to obviously having the pick of the litter of anybody you wanted in the portal. You had money, you've got the history of LSU, what they've done, and they missed somewhere.
Yeah, no doubt.
And you can say, oh, we've had a couple of arms go down. Every team, from college, especially the Power Five, all the way up to the major league, that's part of your formula. You're going to lose guys to the DL or to Tommy John. So I think it's very difficult. And then I think most of these teams, Wolo, even the mid-majors, they're trying to figure out what is the right formula of how many high school guys do we sign and quote unquote put the onus of we're going to develop these guys and hope we keep them, and then how many guys we're going to go get in the portal to blend some form of some team chemistry. The problem is if you go too heavy on developing and you can't pitch that guy as a freshman a ton of innings because he's not ready, well, if he pitches enough to put up some numbers, he's disgruntled, he's going to get in the portal, and then you've wasted a year of spending time to try to help the guy because he's going to leave.
Crazy. Tell me about Ole Miss. Tell me about Mississippi State. They're middle of the pack. Are they going to host or are they going to make the tournament?
I think you're going to see Mississippi State probably host. I think Ole Miss has got to make a little bit of a run here over the next 2 or 3 weeks and probably have a good showing in the SEC to host. I think they're still on the fence right now. If they don't perform well going down the stretch, that they might be eliminated from even going to a regional, which Mike Bianco's has done an unbelievable job over the last 20-plus years that he's been there. And three years ago, they were kind of in this same boat where we are now and ended up winning the College World Series. So he's got some rabbits that he's been able to pull out of his hat and motivating these guys and getting them playing really well when it comes down to to the conference tournament, which we're getting close to that now.
What about Arkansas? There's a team same as Ole Miss, game over 500.
Yeah, they're in the same boat. I mean, Dave Van Horn's great. He's one of the best college coaches and best men I've ever met. Again, I think he's played a couple of young guys in the position players that have underperformed that he thought were going to be ready, and he's got some guys that he got in the portal that haven't performed well. So it's going to come down again. People have no idea how difficult it is. And I think it's more difficult in the SEC in baseball because you're playing 3 games a week against, other than maybe Missouri. You can't go and say, oh, we're going to win this series or we're going to sweep. You just don't know. It's that difficult, and it's a gauntlet. And you're going through tons of arms, so there's huge strategy involved in the first 2 games, trying to at least get a split, and then the last day, Sunday, it's going to be a football score, and who outslugs each other. So it's an exciting time, as it always is. But I think there's more question marks this year, Wolo, than there has been in the past as far as the SEC goes.
How about in the American, the Tigers, who their conference record is better. I think they're going to make the tournament. They're 8-10 in the American, but they're 16-27. Not as good overall as they were a year ago. What are the chances of Tim Reiser's team making any noise in the American tournament?
Well, I don't think they're going to make noise. I think they're going to get in. I think the conference takes everybody but one team, so I think they're sitting good as far as getting to the tournament. And who knows? You win a couple of games, get a little momentum, get some luck. It could happen, but I think it's just as I mentioned in the previous comments. It's just very difficult, and even more difficult for mid-majors to go and just all of a sudden become relevant in a year or 2, because you're dealing with, if you bring in a player that you get in the weight room and you develop him, he's leaving. He's going to the SEC. He's not staying because they have more money and it's a better conference. So that part's difficult for the mid-majors, and I'm sure Reisner's experiencing that. And then you're trying to recruit, guys that it's really roulette. You're just hoping you hit on one or two. And if you can hit on a couple of premium arms, then you're able to make some noise, especially when it comes to your conference play.
He's our man on baseball. That is Tim Doolin. Timmy, as always, we appreciate your time. We'll talk to you next Thursday.
All right, Wolo. Thank you.
Tim Doolin on baseball. We take a break. When we come back downtown, we will go the Hall of Famer. Oh, and by the way, we got a new Hall of Fame class. Can't tell you who's in, but I can tell you you're going to like it. Jarvis Greer is right around the corner.
You have opinions?
I think it's over.
Of course you do.
I don't think it's that simple.
Everyone does.
I got all the answers.
Hit us up on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener line at 360-8255.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? Well, we have you covered at Humdinger's. It's quick and it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. With many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger's, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
Volkswagen Driver Days is going strong, and Gossett Volkswagen's got you covered on the pike. Get out here right now and get sporty 2026 Jetta S. We Gossett now just $249 a month. $249 a month for Jetta S. How about 2026 Tiguan S? We Gossett $269 a month. Yes, $269 a month for Tiguan S. And if you're looking for performance, style, and technology, look no further than 2026 Atlas SE. We Gossett at $319 a month. Or get 0% for 60 months available. You ready for a new ride? Well, we got you covered at Gossett Volkswagen on the Pike. 1875 Covington Pike, or online, GossettBWMemphis.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 36-month lease, Jetta TM 005137, MSRP 25820, Tiguan TMO 14510, MSRP 32585, Atlas TC 515398, MSRP 41841, includes all rebates and incentives, must be financed through Volkswagen Credit PF 895, excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month, dealer stock only.
On top of home and auto, Progressive protects your boat, RV, and motorcycle so you can explore the unknown.
Actually, we just take the RV to the same campground every year.
Well, maybe you can catch your own dinner on your boat.
Oh, we can actually get pizza delivered there from this brick oven place we love.
Will you at least try a new topping?
Honestly, probably not. We kind of have a go-to order.
Fine. Just bundle home or auto insurance with your outdoor vehicles with Progressive and stay protected when you go, I guess, where you've gone before. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states or situations.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roof Services. I wanted to take a minute and discuss advertising with you. There are so many websites that list the best service provider in your area. Even the BBB has an accredited list. You know the one thing they all have in common? A company like mine has to pay to get on that list. So that begs the question, can those lists be trusted? You know what can be trusted? History. We've been around for almost 30 years providing customers with the best service and the best products that we possibly can. So if you need a roof, siding, or gutters, give us a call. We'll come talk to you and let you decide for yourself whether or not we know what we're talking about. Fiveash Roof Services. Best products, best warranties, and in many cases, the best price. We're fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or MemphisRoofer.com. 367-0050 or MemphisRoofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Rick's Powder Coating, for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With 2 conveyor lines and the largest batch ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com. To NST, it's never just another case. It's your shot at getting life back on track. Real help, real heart. 35 years and still winning. NST is the way to go. Call 683-7000 or go online at nstlaw.com.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
We're headed downtown. The Hall of Famer Jarvis Greer is set to join us in Jarvo. Since I mentioned Hall of Fame, we can't say who. The vote came in yesterday. I am so excited about this sixth class, and I think the crowd in mid-October is going to be huge at the Renaissance Center.
Yeah, I think they did a really good job. It's like putting together a list of all-stars that you want to bring in, and that we didn't have a whole lot of discussion because everybody really, really liked the group that we had on the that was up eligible to vote for. So I think this one will be really good and be a lot of fun. I expect to have a lot of good stories and a lot of fun ahead at the event, which will be coming up in October.
All right. I know you've spoken that you think the Grizz and the city are very close on a lease. The Tigers' lease with the Grizz, rent for FedEx Forum, is up June 30th. I don't know if the last one has really served either of the parties beautifully. What do you think will happen in that regard with Ed Scott and I guess either Zach Kleiman or Jason Wexler on these negotiations?
Well, Zach Kleiman does the basketball. He's just strictly Grizzlies basketball. It'll be Jason Wexler handles all that other stuff because he's the team president, and that's a no-brainer as far as getting another lease done. It's just what the particulars are going to be in the lease, and I think that from what I understand from Dr. Scott, Big Ed is and the crew. They're working on it. They've been working on it. They got a lot of irons in the fire. And that's why you have a guy that's got a doctorate that can handle a lot of irons in the fire. And that's like a no-brainer. It'll get done. I would expect an announcement here sometime soon. That I don't know what the terms will be. I don't know if they'll stay the same. They may change a little bit. They changed the terms last time that were favorable to the University of Memphis because the Tigers are going to have to pay if attendance was under a certain amount. Now it's just a flat rate that the university will get. So I think it's going to be a win-win for both entities.
I hope so. When do you think the Grizzlies and the city are going to come to a deal?
Well, I mean, the lease isn't over to 29. They've been negotiating this for a while, and there's been some bumps in the road with this and that. But now, the state is finally coming through with an infusion of money for Memphis and for what they're calling the Arena District now. And it's like, so I think it's up to like $124 million now that's coming from the state to help that area around FedEx Forum, which is exactly what the Grizzlies wanted and was exactly what anybody that lives in Memphis would want to see, your that area be taken care of as far as security and other amenities and things like that. And it's so it's a no-brainer. It's a win for the city. You're finally getting some help from the state on something. We talked about this a little bit yesterday in our meeting, and I think I talked a little bit about on our Grisby show. Like when the Titans, they were the Texans. When they came from Houston to go to Nashville, they stopped over in Memphis. And for that 1 year,
they were the Oilers.
Yeah, they were. That's right. I'm sorry. They were the Oilers, Houston, Texas. They were the Oilers, and they stopped over in Memphis on their way to Nashville. Shoot, I called it a booty call. I'm just going to say it. We warehoused their team while they were over there, and they made the whole state a TDZ, a tourist development zone, for them to build the stadium, which is now it's going to be replaced, I guess, Nissan Stadium.
Yeah.
The old Nissan Stadium in Nashville. They made the whole state a tourist development zone. And then, so we were paying in Memphis and Shelby County, we were paying for that stadium to be built over there, and Nashville people did not even come here to Memphis to see their team play. And so now the state's finally realizing we cannot let Memphis die on the vine over here in the west end of the state.
Well, they proposed to give $550 million to this project a long time ago. I think the whole thing, the money has not been moved because the Grizzlies hadn't signed that lease, and it makes no sense for these renovations to occur unless the Grizzlies agree to stay post 2029.
Well, yeah, and that's why you're seeing this money come in now for these other projects, and they're not going to spend $550 million just on the arena. The arena is a good arena. It's a great arena. I've been to a bunch of NBA arenas around the country. And some people say it may be upside down on the way the seats are done and all that stuff, but you basically have to tear it down and blow it up to reverse that. It's for the stuff around it, the amenities around it that fans will want. It's not just going to be Beale Street, which is more of a young adult kind of thing. This will be more family-friendly kind of areas that'll be in and around the stadium. And there will be some things done to the stadium. They're working on the stadium now. Like when we go over there for our Grizzlies show, the parking lot's closed off most of the time because they're doing a lot of the deferred maintenance that hadn't been done. The building's 25 years old now. And so they are doing something. They are spending the money on a lot of the things that you can't see. The cosmetic things will start coming as we go forward. And then, once the lease is signed, they'll start really getting the backhoes in and doing like that. I don't know.
What are they going to do? Do you really know what they're going to do? They've never announced it, so.
No, I don't know, but there is room around there, and that area that was supposed to be the walk. I don't know, but I imagine it may involve some of that. That
should be really used for the Grizzlies and the Redbirds. That would help the Redbirds a great deal if that was a family, fun-oriented thing with, by the way, fair parking.
Yeah. Okay. That's true, and that was one of the things that was envisioned by Doc Willie Harrington when he was mayor. It was like he wanted that area between AutoZone Park and what would soon be FedEx Forum to be a great area for fans and friends, families, friends, and entertainment and stuff like that. Little shops and things like that, maybe even apartments. But I think. I can't swear to that because I don't know. I haven't seen the plans, but that's the perfect area for something like that.
I'm with you. I know they're going to do some improvements to the building. I don't know what they're going to be. You're right. They're not going to explode the downstairs to make the seats have better sight lines. I don't know why they did what they did.
No, sight lines are fine. It's like they say they want to put more seats downstairs so they can charge more, and there'll be fewer seats upstairs.
Yeah. They built that backwards. That is for sure.
Well, but they never could have gotten the building built. I think that's one thing the city did right in that regard. That they wanted to make sure because we are not the most. Our population does not make that much money, and they wanted to have more accessible seats to more people with the amount of money that disposable income that is available in this area. So they built it where there are more seats upstairs. And you still got your premium seats downstairs, and you got 50, 60 skyboxes in there, 63 skyboxes, and the terrace level is tremendous. And you still have your avenues to make money. It's just that they didn't want to cut out the population that this thing is, that the state and city, or that the city and county money is going for. They can't go to see the Grizzlies play because they can't afford it, and that's why they built it like they built it.
Switching gears, the Tigers get another hometown kid in Josh Holloway. Your thoughts on the way Penny is building this team? And the one caution I have here is I like what he's doing because I think there's a plan, but I sure want to see some bigs because all we see are guards and wings.
Yeah, that's the big question. That's the $64 million question or $1,000. How much? It's all about the bag, man. How much money you got in the bag? And bigs are at a premium right now. He's loading up on the ancillary players. Now the big test will come to see if he can find a Dane Danger out there that a Big Ten team or an SEC team might discard and say, well, we got enough, or we don't have the money for you, but we got the money for this one. And Memphis will sweep in. Yeah, we got the money for you. We'll take you. And then he turns out to be a monster. because Danger, by the end of his career at Memphis, he was a monster. And I'm hoping that there's somebody or some bodies out there like that they'll be able to swipe. The portal just ended, so there's still some wrangling to be done.
Well, there's a lot of people still in.
Yeah,
you can't go in now, but you can stay in and come out, and there's literally 3,000 people. Still
there's still some names out there, some people that we don't know and that you won't know until they come.
The Williams rebounder, the 6'9" kid, the scorer Weeks from Southern Miss. I think the other kids from North Alabama. Those are two that would be really good pieces. I'm not sure there's a Dane Danger out there.
I don't know that they've gotten that far yet in their recruiting. I think they're still looking. But you not only need one, you need two. One's not going to be enough. You're going to need another big guy in there you need at least two really competent bigs, and then somebody like who was the kid that played alongside Danger, came from Temple?
Nicholas Jourdain?
Jourdain. You're going to need somebody like that. They don't have anybody like that yet.
Or a Malcolm Dandridge. He's more a true big body than Jourdain.
Yeah. Well, if you can get a Malcolm Dandridge, that'd be great. As long as you can stay healthy. But, it's like if you can, but, you need that signature big. Or at least a couple of guys that are really good.
You sound like a Grizzlies fan, because when's the last time the Grizzlies had two good bigs?
Well, they had Jaren Jackson Jr. and Zach Edey, but Zach Edey got hurt, and then they just traded Jaren Jackson Jr.
But I'm talking about two big bodies, like they had
two big bodies. That's Mark and Zebo.
Mark and Zebo, but that's not. Zebo. I'm talking about a Steven Adams to go with Zach Edey. There's a lot of teams that have two bigs, not power forwards, bigs. Yeah. And that would be kind of interesting to see. I don't know if the Tigers could see that, but I think the Grizz could do that with one of those picks. One's going to be a point guard. They ought to get a backup to Edey, especially with his health issues.
I think that definitely need to do that. That's for sure.
All right. As always, I love chatting with you, and I will talk with you next Thursday.
All right, it was great at the Hall of Fame. It's going to come up in October. Look forward to the dates, people, because it'll be a fun event.
Yeah, you're going to want to come, that is for sure. Jarvis Greer, thank you much. Jarvo is brought to you by Sheldon. It's that time of year again. He's on the loose. Sheldon Rosengarten with Mark Spensdorf is selling houses left and right. And by the way, spraying golf balls on the course every which way, because Sheldon devotes his time to taking care of his clients. And that's why his listings always sell so quickly and at good prices. Just look at some of the testimonials on MemphisRelocate.com or on his social media sites. When he tells people that his highly successful strategic marketing program should be compared to what other agents do, he means it. He likes people to talk to 2 or 3 different agents before they decide who they want to use. Just make sure you include him in the interview process. But if you want to play golf, he's like James Bond. 007, 0 birdies, 0 pars, 7 double bogeys. Remember what people say. When you want the job done, you call Sheldon, 483-0546 or MemphisRelocate.com. That is in the books. Tomorrow, we've got our special with Paul Rogers, voice of Louisville, on the Kentucky Derby. Andy Schiffman, and we'll end our week with Jonah Dillon. We'll see you tomorrow. Johnny Radio is right around the corner. Have a great day, everyone.